Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Nic Cage Fight podcast, where we break down and review Nic Cage movies because we just can't make it as squares. Doesn't work for us. Us, of course, being me, one of your hosts, Josh, joined as always by Rich and Ryan, because we all need to sort of observe each other's descent into madness as we make it through all of Nic Cage's filmography. How are we, guys?
You know, the usual, straight trapping and hoeing.
Mentally, not great. Not great after this one.
I'm with you there. We're here to wrap up, put a stake through the heart of Sonny.
That would have made this a better movie. They should have found out that he was a vampire and then staked him to death at the end.
Honestly, it would have made just as much sense as the rest of this. So I'd be all in favor. Where we last left our intrepid main character, he had just picked up Carol from her out-of-town job at a hotel where his father shot at a pimp with a sawed-off shotgun. We cut from here to Henry playing gin with Albert, who beats him in the hand that they're playing. I don't know how gin works. I'll be honest with you.
You get 10 gins and you win.
I'd probably be pretty good at that one.
Well, isn't it like it's gin rummy? So it's like it's rum. It's like rummy 500, I guess. But it's like a shortened version.
That doesn't help me sort out how that game is played. It seems like Go Fish, where you're trying to assemble stuff in your hand.
Yeah, you're not far off.
Game,
yeah, you're not far off. It's essentially like, depending on the version, you have 7 or 10 cards, and you need either 3 of a kind or a run, or a 4 of a kind and a 3 of a kind. If you're playing the 7-card version, and then you win.
Sounds great. Henry's not doing good. He loses and has to fork over $40 to Albert. And then when he gets home, doesn't even get a second apiece because Mama starts in on him about how it's her birthday and he promised to take her out to a fancy restaurant. And he's like, I don't have money for that. Can we just do it next year? Which that line got me. But Jewel ain't having none of that and sends him out to steal something in the rain. So Henry it happens off camera, but he's clearly successful in some fashion because the next night the two of them go to Antoine's, a fancy restaurant. And during the very beginning parts of this meal, Mama says, do you think we should tell Sonny? And Henry goes, no. And if you do, I'll leave and you'll never see me again. I wonder what that's all about. I don't really wonder. I wasn't really wondering at this time either. It seemed pretty apparent. However, before we get to ponder that too much, a waiter comes by and notices that Jewel has her shoes kicked off in a restaurant, which if you've never been to a restaurant, this is considered bad form.
No shirts, no shoes, no dice.
Yes, absolutely.
It's what some people would call a faux pas.
Yeah.
Learn it, know it, live it.
Yes. Now, a waiter notices this and gives her some shit about it. And she's like, no, I always take off my shoes when I eat, which is fucking weird. But I've known people with weirder predilections. Like, for instance, as an aside, because I want to talk about anything but this movie, I worked with a kid in catering who had to leave work. First of all, he rode his bike to work. He lived relatively close, but he would have to get back on his bike and go home anytime he had to take a shit. And I learned this when he's like, dude, you got to cover my tables for about 20 minutes. And I was like, why? He's like, I got to go home. I was like, why? He's like, I got to use the bathroom. I was like, so I will reiterate one more time. Why? What are you talking about? And he's like, I get butt naked to take a poop. And I'm like, that's insane. You do this all the time. What do you do when you're in public? He's like,
okay.
I go home.
So he rides his bike when he has to take a shit. That seems like a risky proposition.
I know. I am very aware, but he was dead serious about it. I thought it was a bit. Thought he was fucking with me. But I then socialized with this person for several years. And sure enough, anytime they had to take a shit, they would go home.
I was about to say, I get it, because not the whole getting naked thing, but the going home to take a shit. I used to work at a dive bar that everybody here knows more than likely, called
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
When I was 19, 20, I was a bar back there. And
Ryan, bleep that, by the way.
Yeah. We can't dox ourselves.
Yeah, very true. And, their bathroom was in no state to take a shit in. So my dad lived 2 blocks away. So I would walk home, go take a shit, and then walk back to work. because 90% of my workday was just playing Nintendo DS.
Yeah, I'm sorry. One of my greatest strengths, if you ask anybody who knows me, is my ability to shit anywhere, at any time. So that's it. It boggles my mind, but I don't judge.
You got to learn to hover.
Back in like 2014, I was in a band and we did like a little mini tour, and I would have to wait till we got to like a hotel because they'd be like, okay, we had to like stop at a rest stop. Be like, I can't shit here. I cannot shit in a rest stop.
Well, that went a better direction than I thought, because I was like, shit, is he a fan of Gigi Allen? I don't know if I want to let him finish the story.
Didn't Jim Morrison also take a dump on stage?
I don't recall. If he did, it wasn't as famous as Gigi Allen. So
this was not a leftover crack cover band.
Okay.
Although I would be in a leftover crack cover band.
I've seen Leftover Crack twice. SZA was too high on crack both times to perform.
That was the one in Atlantic City.
No, I'm thinking of the one at the Trocadero in Philly.
Yeah, I went to go see him too, and he was too high to play. But I did also see them a few times, like in New York, where they played, and it was really good.
Yeah, at least the one time I saw him, World Inferno Friendship Society opened up, and they had like a 2-hour set, so it was more of a World Inferno fucking concert than it was a Leftover Crack concert.
Well, I mean, a leftover crack concert is like really, you're just watching an expensive cover band.
Yeah.
So since we're forced to, we got to get back to the story.
No, can't this just be a leftover crack podcast?
You want me to talk about one of the other good movies I saw this week instead?
No, we can do this, guys.
All right.
We've done this with worse films, maybe.
I don't think so.
We're gonna have to sort that out at a later date. But we've been here before.
I mean,
we know
fucking
what we're
G-Force. I took 3 separate breaks to talk about 3 other movies. So,
so the waiters being
if we're talking about a crust punk band that nobody has listened to. Sorry, waiter.
Yeah, the waiters being kind of dickish, but also kind of justified. I mean, like you are eating in a communal space with other human beings. Probably shouldn't kick your shoes off. However, they essentially, when Jewel explains like she eats with her shoes off, this is not computing here. Essentially refusing to correct the situation. The waiter's like, all right, well, I'm going to get somebody to throw you out. And he goes to walk off. And Henry follows him, grabs him, shoves him up against a wall, and sticks a butter knife up one of his nostrils. Now, butter knives usually aren't very intimidating, but if you stick one up somebody's fucking nose, you're going to get their attention.
I'm going to be intimidated.
Absolutely.
yeah, you think you're going to be like fucking Jack Nicholson in Chinatown. You know what we do with nosy guys? Cut off their noses.
So Henry gives a pretty good threatening speech about how the guy's going to apologize and bring them their food and not throw them out, or he's going to have to cut them.
Well, he specifically says that you're going to get stabbed in the stomach on your way home. Is the threat.
That's a threat.
That is a threat.
That is a threat.
And effectively delivered. That was pretty solid. Props to Henry, because he doesn't look overly threatening in this film in any way, shape, or form. This was a good scene. This is good acting from him, but he's kind of set the bar far too high for everybody else.
It really recalls me to his performance in Repo Man, where he's not very intimidating for the majority of the movie, but he makes a point that like you got to dress like a square, because if they think that you're packing, you're at an advantage.
Yeah. So this is what we alluded to in the last episode. While this dinner is going down, or after, at least the next scene we're treated to is Sonny and Carol showing up to a fancy house for a fancy party. And when the door is open, we see it's hosted by Meg's friend from the beginning of the movie, where the one she was with when she ran into Sonny when he got home and he was clothes shopping. So Carol is introduced to Mr. Putnam, and Sonny is being vaguely flirtatious with Mrs. Putnam, and we get a time lapse of the party, and then it's just the Putnams and the prostitutes that they hired. And Mrs. Putnam is getting a little gun shy now that it's time to go, but Sonny gets a little aggressive and works his magic on her in the kitchen, while upstairs Carol is fucking Mr. Putnam. And this is a bizarre scene. First of all, their bedroom is huge and only has a bed in it. It is just a bunch of bare carpet and a bed, which is off-putting to see. There's
no nightstands, no
nothing.
dressers.
Nothing. It looks like nobody lives in that room.
It's a porn set.
Yeah, basically. I don't know if that's what they were going for. But I've known like broke college students who have more shit in their rooms than these people did. Also, the sex scene with Mr. Putnam is patently absurd. Carol is on top of him, looking very bored and like sort of like frantically humping him, and he is saying things like "gee whiz." And I just had an out-of-body experience. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Oh yeah, Dilly, that sure is a pickle.
Yeah, I just
The whitest fucking sex talk.
Yeah, and then towards the end, like Mrs. Putnam and Sonny sort of just like saunter up to the door. Carol finishes, and as they're getting paid, so like now Mrs. Putnam is in bed under the covers, and Mr. Putnam is like I think in a robe and giving Carol and Sonny money. But like they just wrapped up. And at this point, two small children, the Putnam's children, run into the room as they're paying their hookers after banging the bed. They jump in the bed with mom.
Like 2 seconds after they finish.
Immediately after. My God.
And like the kids don't like, who are these weird people or anything? It's just like they jump in the bed and they're like, all right.
Sorry,
we're gonna go now.
I know I'm too online and on Twitter too much, but I just gotta say, when I saw that scene, I was like, God, you know it smelled crazy in there.
Well, the kids stop hearing the barnyard noises. They know it's fine to go in.
Fucking God, it was just threw me for a fucking loop. Carol and Sonny leave the house. It's raining. They run back to the car. They do, at the very least, acknowledge the bizarre call outs from Mr. Putnam during sex, and they sort of mock him and do the gee whiz bit a little bit before Carol tells Sonny she wants to take a drive. So they drive around a bit, and they eventually stop at a park, and Carol has to sort of talk Sonny into getting out of the car and walking with her. She's eventually successful, but it starts raining again. And so they run to, inexplicably, there's a barn nearby, and they run and try and wait it out in the barn. And while they're in there, they find that there is a dog with a litter of puppies. And Carol gets all choked up looking at the dog with the litter of puppies, and then gets mad at Sonny for not understanding why. It's because she wants kids. And then they have a bit of an argument, and Sonny sort of tries to explain why he's not really sympathetic to Carol's desire to have a kid, or, you know, when she gets upset when she thinks about it, because, you know, he is a product of a professional prostitute having a kid. And so Carol retorts, well, that's ridiculous. Your mom didn't want you. You were just an accident, which
not the thing to say.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to argue the accuracy of it, but it does seem a bit going for his neck a little bit. You know, it's a little harsh maybe. And then, you know, Sonny goes to run out, or she goes to run out. They end up in the mud, like in the rain, sort of trying to semi-reconcile, I guess. It's supposed to be emotional, but Jesus, the writing is just so bad. And so they get back home, and back home, Carol tells Sonny that the car dealership guy asked her to marry him again, and she's gonna fucking do it. She does, after sort of levying that as kind of a threat, I guess, ask Sonny to just, you know, run away with her. Like, they'll figure it out. And Sonny's like, nope, I'm back to being a prostitute full time. Good for you. Good luck out there. And, you know, Carol sort of accepts that he's taking a hardline stance, and she's not going to be able to change his mind. He stops her at he's acting very cold, but he does stop her at the door to say congratulations. But this is clearly supposed to be the beginning of the end of Carol and Sonny's weird tryst. I didn't really get too many romantic vibes from any of it, but the movie expects you to feel that way about it. Then we're back to Henry and Albert playing gin, and Henry fucking wins. And he is kind of floored by it. So Henry's character actually does have some depth. If you want to talk about like developed characters, Henry's the only one that counts to me in this one, because Henry seems to have consigned himself to being a loser. And so when he wins, it just is jaw-dropping for him. He keeps repeating that he's won. He can't believe it. His buddy Albert, doesn't appreciate the impact that this has on, Henry in general, but happily forks over the money that Henry's won. I think it's about $60 based on the hand that he got. Again, I don't know how gin works. And goes about closing up the shop where they're playing. And Henry goes to go home. He gets in his car, which also is a little bit weird. I didn't know he had a car. I think this is the first time I've seen it in the film.
I think it is the first time it's revealed.
So yeah, after declaring like this is Henry's day, it's all coming up Henry, he gets in his car, starts it, pulls out into the road, and immediately gets pancaked by a garbage truck. I mean, and not just T-bone, but the entire interior of his car goes up into flames on contact. I don't think that's how cars work, but I'm not a mechanic.
No, it was very jarring and very funny. It reminded me of another comedy movie, Office Space, when the guy who just got done almost killing himself goes to back out and just gets rammed by a drunk driver.
Yeah.
Kind of reminded me of what was it? Was it Kiss of Death? Was it Kiss of Death?
Explain the scene.
Oh, the Helen Hunt gets drunk and gets pancaked.
Oh, yes, that is Kiss of
that
Death.
is Kiss of Death. Yeah.
Yep.
Now the sound mixing on the copy that I watched of this was so fucking bad that I had to have it cranked up whenever there was dialogue. But then as soon as that hit, the person that was in like the second story of the fucking house, me and my buddy were watching this in the basement, came downstairs to ask what the fuck just happened.
And you're like, Harry Dean Stanton just got pancaked by
That's
garbage.
exactly what we said. Yeah.
Shit. So yeah, unfortunately, Henry comes to a rather ignoble end out of fucking nowhere. It's not funny. It's supposed to be poignant, but it comes so far out of the clear blue sky. It's jarring. And I don't know about you, but when I'm shocked or surprised, my initial instinct is to laugh. It's made for some awkward times getting mugged back when I lived in a city, but it's pure visceral reaction. I don't know what to tell you.
It's so good.
It is one of the few good scenes in the movie.
So the very next scene, we're at a fucking gravestone where Mama, Sonny, and Albert are just sort of standing around, and Mama and Sonny just walk away, don't interact with Albert. And there is this kind of funny scene where like it's not overly obvious, but Albert's kind of just looking around confused as they stalk away from the gravestone. I don't know if any of you guys caught it, but he lingers in the background of that scene for a second.
No, I didn't.
I did not catch that at
all. And I'm
all.
not gonna go back to catch it either.
No, don't. It's not worth it. But when they get back home, Mama tells Sonny that Henry was his father and basically explains what happened. I think he was in the military and spent the night with her and then left on tour or something like that, and then ran into her again 10 years later and sort of did the mental math and realized that Sonny was his kid and just stuck around from there, which would all be real touching and shit if he had stopped his son from being pimped out at age 12. But hey,
you can't win them all.
Yeah, you can't. What is he? Super dad? Come on. So Sonny is upset. We get a fucking single tear rolling down the cheek scene, which is just bonkers. And then some bad acting in which Franco seems to alternate between laughing and sobbing, and he flips a table, and then he walks out and goes to a bar and starts drinking. Now, this scene, I wouldn't
baffling.
I wouldn't say is good, but I am so curious as to what's going on here, because it looks like he is ordering like tequila and tonics or tequilas and sodas.
It looked to me like he was taking beer shots.
No.
Yeah, I know it couldn't be that.
It was hard liquor and then some sort of seltzer. So it was either tonic or soda water, but he was drinking it in a way I've never seen. I don't know if it's a thing or if they invented it for this film, but after the drink is poured, no mixing, no ice or anything like that. It's just the booze and the tonic or soda water. He'd put a napkin over the top of the rocks glass, pick it up and slam it against the bar so the whole thing fizzes over and then pound it. Is that a thing? Is that a fucking real thing, or did they invent it for this movie? Or is Sonny a fucking insane person? I genuinely do not know.
Not sure, but
I'm gonna go with
do a
insane
quick little
person.
check.
It was intriguing. It was one of the only things where I'm like, I'm not sure if this is real or more fucking fever dream from this script, but it was at least entertaining to watch because they do it like 3 times in a row. They pour the drink, he puts the napkin on, he smacks it. I'm like, what's going on? He gets another one, same thing. So it's clearly a method of drinking. He's using it as a method of drinking it.
Got it.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I wasn't sure.
So it's called a tequila slammer. It's tequila, orange juice, and club soda, and you are supposed to slam it down on the bar so it fizzes up and then chug down.
Well, there was no orange juice involved, though.
There wasn't.
There was no orange juice. Yeah,
I thought it was whiskey at first because it was it looked like a dark liquor. I guess it was dark tequila.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, there's no orange juice involved.
Tequila slammer, hold the orange juice.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you just want to knock around a tequila and soda? Fine, kid. So he gets real shit-faced and starts wandering Bourbon Street, and then he goes into another bar. And then this is the part of the movie where I was like, all right, you don't even give a shit anymore. At this bar, he comes out
hang
of it.
hang on, because this is actually the part of the podcast
Uh-huh.
where we don't tell you about shit, but other people will tell you about things that you can purchase with the money that you get from, I don't know, Joe Biden's unemployment. Is that still a thing? Are people still mad about that?
they're probably still mad about it, but they ain't getting it no more.
Oh, those were the good times. Sitting on my couch, like binge watching Bob's Burgers while I'm just getting paid $1,100 a week.
I watched every episode of One Piece while I was getting that money.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah, I worked through the entire pandemic.
Oh,
My
well, you see,
condolences.
so I was one of, I don't know if I had COVID. People tell me they think I did because I got sick in March of 2020 when I was living in New York. So it all tracks since like that's where it started in America. But I felt really, really shitty for 2 days. And then I was fine for like the next 2.5 weeks, but I couldn't go into work. So my boss, like, quote unquote, laid me off. And I don't even give a fuck if it's illegal because that's on my boss. I worked at a place called France and Son. Go get him.
But bleep it. Bleep it.
I am
Go
believing that
get
one.
him. Go get him. So he laid me off and then rehired me when I could pass the COVID test like 2.5 weeks later because that's how slow it was. And oh my God, I wish I could go back to those 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, no, I know I got it because I felt crappy for a couple of days and then couldn't taste anything for 6 months.
I didn't get the no taste thing. My dad was actually sending me Philly cheesesteaks on Goldbelly. So I would just open the door sometimes and there'd be like a box filled with dry ice and 6 cheesesteaks from Tony Luke's.
Sick.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, no, that during those 6 months, I just put hot sauce on an absurd amount of hot sauce on everything just to get a hint of flavor. It was the only thing that would break through the no taste barrier.
Oh man, I didn't get the no taste, but still.
Anyway, hopefully this ad will be for hot sauce, but from what I've heard from our fans, our ads are wildly disconnected from anything that we talk about. So maybe it'll be something real freaky.
I'm just about to start giving people like my code for DraftKings so I can get that free DraftKings money because I know they're advertising on this
I don't
fucking
think
show.
The last one somebody reached out to me to tell me was one of our ads was for like a convent.
Oh. Oh. Yeah.
What is my ad set? Like, hold on.
Dude, we the confirmed ones I've had is for like Lancaster, Pennsylvania, ICE, and a convent. And I don't support any of those things.
I mean, I support nunsploitation films, but not necessarily the convents themselves.
Yeah, I don't think they film those at actual convents, dude.
They definitely have a couple times. There's some
Oh.
Italian films that I know for a fact were filmed on location for like convents that had shut down in like the fucking 60s or 70s.
Okay, my follow-up is I don't think those are actual nuns, dude.
No, they're definitely not nuns. I ain't never seen a nun do any of that shit before.
Damn, so I can't choose. I can only choose to make things. It says enable sensitive categories to increase your revenue. And I have checked pregnancy, sexuality, and politics. but I left unchecked illegal content. I think I want to check that and see what happens.
Wait,
Yeah,
what?
I'm curious.
Wait, what?
You can advertise illegal content on a podcast?
That seems counterintuitive. They have a box where like, do you want Instagram fed posting codeine pill mailers?
I'm about to say, like, I hope it's like just an advertisement from like Joe in Sticklerville who's slinging heroin or something.
Also, I love that you apparently you're yes to pregnancy, yes to sexual content, and we get fucking convent and Amish ads. It doesn't make any sense. Just uncheck all of the normal shit and just check all of the depraved shit. They got to be paying better if you have like really depraved ads, right? Who's gonna hawk your shit?
Illegal ad people, get at us. We'll do some ad reads for you.
I really want. I'm severely curious what illegal services are legal to advertise.
I mean, maybe escorts, maybe
you looking for a hitman?
Use our code CAGEFIGHT at checkout.
40% off your next targeted assassination. Oh shit. All
right. Back to somebody
Before
who shouldn't
next
be
ad
doing
advertises you guys some illicit drugs. Watch out for, street level MDMA and shit. Apparently it's all meth these days. So
yeah, buy some testers. You can buy them on the internet. They're not expensive. Even if you don't do drugs, buy testers for your friends. Testers
and Narcan. It does not hurt. And they do giveaways for the Narcan shit. It's trust me. It's you're not gonna feel bad about saving a life. So anyway, that one was free. We don't get paid for that one. Where were we? Oh yeah, that's right. So Sonny goes into another bar after his weird tequila soda pounding and gets a drink. Now, remember last episode at the very beginning of covering the plot of this movie, I said it was set in 1981, and I wanted you to remember that year. I'm reminding you because I didn't expect you to listen to me. But this is where it comes into play, because fucking Sonny walks out of this bar with a plastic drink pitcher shaped at the bottom like a grenade, which is absolutely not a thing in 1981 on Bourbon Street. It is a thing on modern Bourbon Street. I can't remember the name of the bar, but it's a very well-known one. And their thing is those goofy grenade pitchers and what I think that's some kind of twist on the zombie drink that they sell at this place. So the movie gives no shits about staying true to the time period, except I guess for the TV, but they stopped caring at this point.
Oh yeah.
And now we're moving into, if you can believe it, the most insane portion of this film.
Oh, real quick, the name of the bar is Tropical Isle.
Oh, there you go. And how long have they been in business?
Give me a second. I'm on their website.
No worries.
Oh, yeah. Fucking Tropical Isle. I am trying to rewatch this. Oh, my. You see, so the first time I watched it, I thought it was just a beer, but I just turned it back on, and you're correct. It is 100% like a grenade that like you would get in Las Vegas or modern day Bourbon Street. Holy shit.
Yep. Yeah. When I saw that, I was like, I don't even know what's fucking happening anymore with this film.
Tropical Isle opened in 1984, and the hand grenade thing was like 90 something.
Okay, so the bar wasn't even fucking open.
Yeah.
The year this movie is set. Perfect. Awesome. All right. Now that my rage has been justified, Sonny goes to some place, knocks on the door, and asks to talk to Acid Yellow. What's in a name?
Great name. Great name.
What is in a name? A lot in this case. So as soon as I hear he's like, I want to talk to Acid Yellow, I literally have in my notes, so excited. This is who Nic Cage is playing in this film. I can't wait to see it. I'm hoping it's gonna save the movie. And then we see Acid Yellow.
He's got Geraldo Rivera hair, I just realized in this.
He does. He has Geraldo Rivera hair, a prosthetic nose. He is wearing essentially the exact suit from Austin Powers, but bright yellow. And he is just snorting so much cocaine. That's our introduction to this character.
And there's a dyed dog on the counter too, like a dog that has been dyed pink.
I fucking missed that.
Oh yeah,
I was a little
I had to
zeroed
freeze
in.
frame.
I was like, is that a prosthetic nose? Is he wearing an Austin Powers outfit? What is going on?
Yes to all those things.
Yeah. And Sonny tells Acid that he's looking for him to get him a date with a guy. He's looking for some rough trade. And Acid Yellow indicates that, you know, he's apparently tried to get Sonny to take male clients for some time, and Sonny always said no, but he's happy to hook him up this time. He snorts a bunch more cocaine and then rears his head back and screams, "I love coca." Great. Great unhinged Cage scene. I actually had errantly put this as like an obvious winner, but we get one other one that's a real contender shortly hereafter. So they put Sonny in a room to await a client, and the client Knox comes in the room, and he's like a business guy type, and you know, Sonny's like, "So what's your deal?" And the guy, you know, he like takes off his watch and then gets down on his knees and says, you know, I've been a bad boy and I need to be punished. And Sonny's like, "Well, like, punished how?" And he's like, "It's up to you, master." And from here it goes immediately off the rails, because he goes, Sonny says, "Do you know your father?" And the guy's like, "My father is dead." And Sonny's like, "Yeah, mine too," and starts beating the shit out of this guy. I mean, I'm not talking about like paddles and whips. I'm talking about like just clocking him in the jaw and throwing him around the room. It's pretty fucking violent. And Acid Yellow and a weird bodyguard with like a bleach blonde mullet bust into the room and drags Sonny out, and Mullet beats on Sonny a bit, and Acid yells out for Mullet to cut Sonny's face and then pulls on the head of his cane that he had. Of course he has a cane, and it's a sword cane. And
so cool.
This one might be the best unhinged scene. The "I love coca" is really up there, but he's like, when he screams "cut his face" and just unsheathes the sword cane, that's pretty fucking up there too. But Sonny manages to break free from Mullet Man's grasp and run away and out of the house. Acid Yellow sort of chases him out into the street, screaming and waving a sword cane around. And that, as mysteriously as he appeared, Acid Yellow is not seen again in the rest of the film. What a bit.
Best part of the movie.
Yeah, it's fucking insane, because like I had thought that was all a part of it, like him beating the shit out of the John, because the John clearly is submissive. I was like, this is he's paying good money for this beating. Okay, this makes sense.
Yeah, no, I don't I don't think that's what they're looking for specifically.
He wanted some light impact play, and
yeah, I don't think I don't know anybody who getting punched in the jaw is their kink. I'm not judging it, but you might want to come prepped with like a mouth guard or something like that. Teeth ain't cheap. Those are luxury bones.
They are not. I'm doing mine right now, and I have already dropped like $400.
It's gonna get way worse from there, man.
Oh yeah, they still have to do the other half of my mouth. They have to fill a cavity. I get my wisdom teeth pulled. This is gonna suck.
So Sonny goes back home, and Carol shows up, says she heard about Henry and she's sorry, and she's here to pack up some more of her shit and leave with Troy, who's the name of the car dealership guy that she has agreed to marry finally. Also they're taking back the Pontiac. Sonny's taken a couple of L's in a row here. Not going great for him. Sonny hands her the keys and then starts going through a paper bag filled with Henry's possessions that he had on him at the time of the crash, including his charred hat. Is that a thing? Like if a loved one of yours like dies in some sort of accident, they're like, here's the flannel shirt they burnt to death while wearing. We thought you might want this. Or do they just throw that shit out? Do you?
I think if it's like a wallet or personal possessions, like jewelry or that kind of stuff, they usually do. But I can't imagine like that nasty old hat.
Yeah, I'm in agreement.
Carol cries a bit as she packs her things. Mama is crying and smoking at the kitchen table. And then after Carol has gathered her stuff, she goes to Sonny and asks him to step outside so she can talk to him. And she indicates she wants to do this so that Mama can't hear what she has to say. They step outside, and Carol is basically like, you gotta get the fuck out of here. You might not want to run away with me, but you've got to fucking run away, because this is not going great. I don't know if you've been paying attention or not, Sonny, but this shit seems untenable at the very least. And she says this is her shot to get out, and even if it kind of sucks, it's better than this. And she's taken it, and basically says goodbye and leaves. And Sonny stands outside in the street staring at Mama's front door and sort of contemplates this. And Carol gets in the car and drives away with Troy. And she is just crying pretty excessively in the passenger seat as they're driving away. And Troy is kind of a dick about it. He's like, you look like shit. Wipe your face. You got mascara running all over the place. And so Carol goes to do that to dab her eyes. And she's looking in the rearview mirror, and she sees Sonny like sprint around the corner, racing towards the car that's stuck in traffic. She gets out and runs to him, and they embrace. And the scene fades to a bright white and then fades back in on the yellow front door of Mama's house. And we see that Sonny is still standing there staring at the door. And then the credits roll.
Mercifully, the credits roll.
Yeah, thank fucking God. Just
overlong, underbaked. A lot of problems with this movie.
The way that last scene was cut to was very weird. It made me think that, like, did that just happen in his head? Is that what he wished happened? Like, there's a weird cut that made it look like what just happened was like in his head.
I don't know if it was his head or Carol's head that the, good ending occurred in, but it clearly didn't happen. He's still just staring at his mom's front door. But it's just, this movie was bonkers, but not in the fun manic way that like Between Worlds was. There's fun incoherent, and then there's tedious incoherent. I think this seemed like it's a story that could have been conveyed in a very straightforward fashion and done well. This seemed to not be able to land in a particular tenor that they managed to maintain throughout the course of the film. So it just seemed weird and spotty. Like, it had some parts that were funny, but it was hard to tell if that was intentional or a consequence of how it was written or acted. I just was more confused and unable to get into the film than spend any time enjoying it. You know what I mean? It was just off-putting in its incoherence, so it wasn't even fun.
It doesn't help that it has some stiff competition for movies that have roughly the same kind of tone and story. Like, if we're talking about man horror movies, you got Midnight Cowboy, you got Cruisin' with Al Pacino, previously mentioned American Gigolo with Richard Gere. I would argue to a certain extent Billy Wilder's Sunset Boulevard is kind of a male gigolo movie. There are better movies that do this sort of story more competently, and they've been around much longer than this one.
Well, one of the ones you mentioned was Midnight Cowboy. Did I hear that
Midnight
right?
Cowboy, yes.
Yeah, that Meg was in that one.
Yeah.
You could sort of see, if you looked really hard, what they were going for. But I think it's one of those things, especially if this was based on somebody's life, that whatever writing or creative flourishes that they put on it, that they thought were this is the home run. This is the big emotional scene here. This is what makes this point. And it just doesn't. I don't know if they didn't get a second opinion on it or what happened. Ryan, you suggested maybe there were cuts to it. It just all landed flat, like all of the key high notes that they're aiming for, with the exception, I think, of Henry's initial speech to Sonny when Sonny relays his plans to get out of their current situation. The rest of it is just nonsense. Like, fucking Sonny freaking out over the cough syrup thing makes no fucking sense. It legitimately doesn't.
his only freak out that makes sense is when he gets shortchanged when he's playing the cop.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like the whole like who is his father is so telegraphed from a mile away. Like as soon as they start that storyline up, you're just like, oh, it's the old guy who's hanging around.
It wasn't until the scene where he's at the hotel and he sees the shotgun blast in the wall that I realized he didn't know that Henry was his father.
That's the other thing. It's played so weirdly that it's not obvious that it isn't a given that Henry's his father. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's I don't know. This whole movie's a fucking mess.
Yeah.
It is. It's a mess. It really doesn't make sense. Acid Yellow is a completely incongruous character with everything that we've seen up to it. I mean, thank God for its inclusion. It is legitimately the high point of the film at the main character's low point, I guess.
Yeah, and I guess this kind of proves it just because you're a good actor. Because, like, listen, Nic Cage is a good actor. If you think differently, like, you're wrong.
Yeah, why are you listening to this?
Yeah.
Are you looking for cracks in our logic here?
Do you want to fight? Meet me outside the Applebee's. Sun up, fisticuffs.
There you go. You
But
guys
just
can get dollar
because-
margaritas afterwards.
Hell yeah. Just because he's a good actor doesn't mean he's a good director. Because this movie is such a fucking mess.
There's a fair few good actors who have tried to dip their toes in directing that just they can't do it. It's just not their forte.
I mean, I would watch something else directed by Nic Cage. I don't want to put all of this on the directing. It clearly wasn't enough to overcome whatever other shortcomings were involved. I think two other elements that were going strongly against, the successful conveyance of this storyline are James Franco as the leading man in this role. Not shitting on his ability to act entirely, but this is not the role for him, period. And also the writing. The writing was just bad. It did not flow, I think, the way it was intended. You know what I mean? You could see, like I said, at several points, you could see what they were going for, and it just fell on its face. It needed some punch up or some smoothing out. I'm not entirely sure exactly what, but it needed a fair amount of those things in some significant quantity to try and tighten this up.
Yeah, and he was
Doctor, definitely.
He was still so young at this point. It really hadn't done much.
Yeah, he'd been like,
He'd been in
Spider-Man, Freaks and Geeks.
He was in like Never Been Kissed.
Yeah, not much.
It's not even that. The Sonny character seems like it played to me like somebody writing about themselves, or like a self-insert character is like impeccably handsome and good in bed, but tortured with a dark past. And can you believe how bad his life was? How could anybody make it through this type thing where it's just really over the top and not with a lot of nuance? You know what I mean? It just comes across as insincere or unbelievable, which makes it really fucking hard to sympathize with. Not to mention that, like I said, in a couple of the scenes, he's a downright psycho. He's just a crazy person.
Yeah.
Now, maybe that's a consequence of his life, but it doesn't make him a likable character. So
yeah, and I can't wait to see him in The Wicker Man.
Is he in that?
Yeah, for like a second.
Okay.
Franco is?
Yeah.
I haven't seen the Wicker Man remake, just the original.
Oh, the Wicker Man remake is one of my favorite Cage movies.
Yeah,
it's one that
I'm looking forward to it.
It's one that I absolutely detest, which is why, like, I'm just hoping we can go as long as we can without watching it, because I did not like it. I do not want to watch it again.
Oh yeah, he's bar guy number one. Also, frankly, absurd. It's an incredibly entertaining movie.
I just wasn't up my alley, but this was also years and years ago. So maybe I'll watch it this
rewatch,
time.
you might come back around. Also, you've been thoroughly cage pill poisoned. You're just overdosing on those cage pills now. Trust me, when you get to this one, you're gonna be like, this is a breath of fresh air.
Yeah,
and you're like fucking Tetsuo in Akira. You're just cramming the pills in your face.
But yeah, also, like, I've never been a big horror movie person, but I've gotten more into horror recently. And I know that The Wicker Man is not what you would call a horror film. especially the remake. But at the time, I was so anti-horror.
I mean, the original's a horror film.
No, it's a horror
It's
film.
a horror film, yeah.
Okay.
From a subgenre called folk horror, which is not as like in your face as slasher or like major supernatural horror.
Right. So, and I'm still not like a big horror person, but I've come around to like certain genres of it. Like I do enjoy a slasher movie.
I love horror movies.
Yeah. Horror movies are bread and butter, baby.
Yeah. And there's so many that are just bad. Like there's more bad horror movies than there are good horror movies, but the bad ones are at the very least most often fun.
Very true. Saw a pretty good bad one recently called Messiah of Evil. It was actually written by some people that worked on fucking Star Wars. And let me tell you, that movie is very bad, but very entertaining.
Messiah of Evil is a bad name.
Yeah.
I think you can tell right from there. You're like, ooh, this is gonna be bad. But no, Wicker Man's fun just because of the nonsense in it. I'm not gonna ruin any element of it because we are going to cover the shit out of that movie. I had a lot to say about that one. Sonny, not so much. This was exhausting. I don't know where
it.
What was
we
that?
made it.
We did. We always do. We do seem to make our way through these things. Just we lose a little bit of ourselves along the way. Each one of these that we've got to make it through, I feel a little bit less of myself by the time we finish. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend. I don't think you're really missing anything. If you don't want to miss out on pure uncut insanity, just look up the Acid Yellow scene. Take 5 minutes of your life instead of an hour and 50. And
it is right there on YouTube. You can just get that one clip.
Yeah, yes. And that's honestly all you need to see, really.
Yeah, it's the best part of the movie.
Far and away.
I'm actually hesitant to call it the most unhinged, though. I think the cough syrup scene is more unhinged. That's me personally. But if we're talking about Cage unhinged, it's pretty unhinged.
It's cut his face is the Cage unhinged.
Cut his face. I love Coca is pretty.
They're both really
good. The whole scene
Cage
is very unhinged.
Only unhinged to this film. Cage's performance is top to bottom unhinged. That glass is full. That's it. There's no fat on this performance. It is all pure, uncut, gamey insanity.
Okay. Geraldo Dick fucking Tracy looking ass.
A prosthetic nose? What was the point of that?
I mean, maybe he did so much cocaine he needed a second nose.
The nose plays.
The nose plays.
The nose knows.
It's a little Ocean's 13 reference. Hell yeah.
Well, and it's appropriate for this one since
with Scott Caan.
Yeah.
James Caan's less attractive, less talented son.
All right. What is the next thing that we're going to put in our heads and not be able to get out?
Well, hold on. First, I have to delete Sonny out of existence on my little thing that I track movies with because the next movie's Firebirds.
Ooh, this is gonna be fun. I might have to rewatch Top Gun for this one.
Now, I have never seen it. All I saw was the Rotten Tomatoes, and it holds a 9%. Now, critics are wrong a lot of the time.
They're definitely wrong for this one.
Like, for example, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna look up Kill Chain, which is my favorite Nic Cage movie so far. It doesn't even have a critic review. It's just a 30% audience score, and those people are fucking stupid.
They just don't like good shit. I will say this: all right, so it's clearly 100% trying to cash in on the Top Gun success, because the movie poster at the top, they have a review that just says a rousing rock'em sock'em aerial adventure. If you enjoyed Top Gun, you'll have a great time.
Oh. Well, hey,
awesome.
Just because
it comes in at a lean 86 minutes too.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, baby.
Okay,
just because I was
about
here,
that.
Just because I was here too, I went and looked at Between Worlds, and if you ever want to reassure yourself of humanity, 32% from critics. Want to guess what the audience score is?
High 50s.
Josh?
If it's anything less than 80, I will not regain any.
It's 81.
Holy shit, that rules.
I knew it.
Look at this audience score. Like, just faith renewed in humanity.
There you go. I'm glad I committed to it because I was like, when you said it, I was like, it's got to be in the 80s or you haven't helped me at all today.
No, fucking 81%. Hell yeah, audience.
Kick
There you
ass.
go. All right. I'll watch knockoff Top Gun with Tommy Lee Jones. I like
It's also
Tommy
got
Lee
Sean Young who plays the replicant in Blade Runner, the one that Harrison Ford does a little sex with.
Yeah, Rachel.
Yes, I forgot her name, but you got it.
Oh shit, and she was in the 84 Dune movie too.
Yeah, she was.
There you go. All right. Hey.
Oh, I think was Harry Dean Stanton in that Dune movie too? I can't recall. I know like Brad Dourif and some other David Lynch alumni were.
She was in another Dune movie that came out in 2021, but not the one with the
not
Tim
the
Tom
Denis
Shyamalan.
Villeneuve one.
No, it's called Planet Dune, and it's not rated. And it's an hour and a half. What is this?
Oh, is this? I thought this was going to be like an asylum picture. It's not. I don't recognize this production company at all. I thought it was going to be like the people that put out Transmorphers when the Transformers movies came out.
Yeah. I have. Oh, yeah. It has nothing to do with it. It sounds exactly like that. The crew on a mission to rescue a marooned base on a desert planet turns deadly when the crew finds themselves hunted and attacked by the planet's apex predators, giant sandworms.
Okay.
So it's ripoff Dune, 100%.
I will probably have seen that by the time we record our next episode.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I will take copyright infringement Dune meets Tremors with the replicant Rachel any day of the. That's exactly what this fucking looks like too.
Awesome.
Low budget Dune and Tremors fucked and had Planet Dune as a baby. I might be with you on this one, Ryan. I might have to see that as well. But of course, that will not detract from my note taking of Firebirds. With just looking at the previews already, I'm interested. It looks like it's going to be bananas, but it's got to be better than Sonny.
Oh, it's definitely. But I guarantee it's better than Sonny. It's better than G-Force. It's better than Christmas Carol.
Okay, all
good.
right,
Good.
That's it.
That's all I need.
I'm not trying to be saved from drowning. I just want to break the surface for a second, get one lungful of clean air, and then I can get back into the muck.
Also, just because I had to go get them, I'm going to give a little bit of a free plug to our New Jersey listeners. If any of y'all want a black lab, we're fostering one right now, and he wouldn't shut up, so I had to go get him.
Oh, there you go. Hey, where are you going to direct them to contact you?
I don't fucking email the Nic Cage fight email, which is I got a Nic Cage fight podcast @gmail.com. Like literally email me because this dog's cute as hell and we potty trained him.
And if any of you advertisers would like to get in touch with us, email that email as well.
Yeah, we don't get our email enough.
That's
God, I can't.
true.
I hope somebody like emails us like I don't know something for like dick pills.
If any listeners want to throw in some questions, maybe we could do a mailbag episode.
That'd be sick.
Yeah, I'm fine with that as well. We'll have to start putting the email address in our end of.
There's a
end
lot
of show
that
plugs.
there's a lot that I need to do that I finally started doing that like Ryan noticed because he liked all of it on Twitter.
I just got notifications set up for the Cage Fight Twitter so I can make sure that I'm signal boosting that shit.
Speaking of that, Twitter is at cagefight_pod. Also, you can direct message us on there if you're interested in the dog that Rich is fostering. So yeah, reach out to us in whatever method makes sense for you, and join us next week for Firebirds. And thanks for sitting through us work out the mental damage that watching Sonny did for us.
I'll never recover emotionally.
No, me neither. In fact, I'm gonna go take a shower, a really hot one.
Good call.
Yeah. So
because you probably got syphilis just from watching this movie.
No,
You got to sweat out the toxins.
Yeah, I'm gonna do what I thought the one sister was doing and just go and drink straight distilled penicillin.
Good call.
All right. As always, listeners, we appreciate you.
Bye-bye.